Hello traders, Ted here from TradeandPower.com and your live FX systems room. And I wanted to invest a bit more time with you today in regards to some of the comments and emails that I've received while in the live room. And this goes to all traders, but especially to the traders who have done all their back testing. And I'm talking 4 to 5, 600 occurrences and more. You have your trading plans written out, including your rules of engagement, and the testing is showing that your approach to the markets is profitable with a positive equity curve and expectancy. Yet you're still having difficulty maintaining your composure and trading state whether you're in the market or not. Perhaps you're moving your stops and targets inappropriately or exiting trades early. In other words, you're doing the things that are not in accordance with your trading plan or rules of engagement that you yourselves have written, despite the indisputable fact that your backtesting results have shown profitability. So what I thought I'd do is make a short video today and tell you what I'm going to do, or what I'm going to say is absolutely going to change your life forever. But are you really sure you want to know it? And now that I have your attention, I'd like to know what or who is controlling you, the trader. Like our friend the frog here, who is currently unaware of what's controlling him. Does that sound familiar? Now traders, if you find yourself in a situation where you're adjusting your stops and targets, you're exiting trades early, or not even taking the trades, you're doing what I call trading on autopilot. Your subconscious is overriding your decision-making mind and letting fear, greed, and a host of other emotions come into play, despite consciously you know that doing so is not only detrimental, but can have a disastrous effect on your trading account. So traders, what can you do to become aware? And awareness really is the key here. You must become aware of those negative and non-serving beliefs and all that negative self-speak that each of us have. But as traders, in order to be successful, we must recognize these beliefs and reprogram our trading minds so that these beliefs do not interfere. In other words, we have to fire our current autopilot and we have to put you, the trader, into the driver's seat. Now, most of us feel discomfort as we approach the edge of our comfort zones. All the negative and destructive beliefs that we all have are held within our comfort zone. So if you've ever noticed yourself in a trade, and that trade may be going against you, perhaps 2 or 3 ticks away from your stop, and you exit that trade early, and then you feel that instantaneous relief and almost a sense of gratification, that self-rewarding feeling that you have relieved the pressure that you were currently feeling. Traders, at that point, you were right at the edge of your comfort zone. And the secret here, traders, is that we want to expand our comfort zones. We need to change our thought processes in the meantime. But again, how exactly do we do that? The only way is through situational awareness. Now, as we begin to approach the edge of our comfort zones, we begin to feel, a little uneasy, and we tend to suppress those emotions and feelings. But traders, the more we try to suppress an emotion or feeling, the more it tends to come out in areas out of our control of our conscious mind. Hence, we find our hand on the mouse, we just click the close button, or we just move those stops to bring us closer to the center of our comfort zones, to find ourselves relief from the anxiety of what we're feeling. Again, whenever these emotions or those negative beliefs are suppressed, they're going to surface somewhere else. Now, for example, we've all probably seen a multitude of public figures who have vigorously attacked a certain activity or perhaps another one's point of view or lifestyle, only themselves to be caught in a scandalous, situation that cost them their careers, their fortunes, and all of this is because their conscious minds were unaware of these underlying negative beliefs. Now, traders, typical things that we all feel are anger, depression, and stress. Coupled with all that negative self speak that you hear in your head, that's your own internal dialogue. But the good news here is that every one of these is changeable if you become consciously aware of them. However, the consequences of letting your subconscious mind run on autopilot with those negative beliefs will be catastrophic. The loss of equity till you have blown up yet another trading account. How many of your equity curves look like the one on the screen? I know mine did at one time. It's nose down right into the dirt. Traders, be honest with yourselves now. Is this a picture of your account balance? Like I said, I've done this. And I know a lot of other traders at Trade Empowered have done this very same thing before coming to the realization that without knowing and being aware of all of our negative beliefs that exist in every single one of us, we can all end up in this situation. And for those of you who have seen Todd's presentation on psychology and neuroassociation, I think this piggybacks pretty well on what he talked about and would highly recommend that every one of you watch it several times, that being Todd's presentation. It truly is that powerful. So isn't it time you thought about taking the controls away from that autopilot? And some more good news, you can. Now traders, this may come as a surprise to you, but beliefs are not facts. They are choices, and the choice is ours to make. Every single belief that we hold dear is a decision we've made in the past. Now, some of these beliefs on such topics as politics, religion, and money have really been installed in us before we reached the age of 6. Now, at that point in our own development, our brains hadn't matured, and we really couldn't make those decisions on our own. Indeed, we have accepted as fact what we were told by our parents, caregivers, and, by society in general. Now, I don't want you going out and blaming your parents, because it's really not their fault either. Because they, again, were victims of the beliefs that they themselves had been brought up with. So that begs the question, how can we change? What steps can I do to bring about trading awareness, or as Jason calls it, situational awareness? Traders, now this may sound rudimentary, but it's extremely important. In fact, Zig Ziglar used to say the only thing as important as oxygen is money. And the two correlate very well in this instance because traders, what happens to us when we get stressed or angry? It triggers the flight or fight response in our lizard brains. Our breathing typically becomes more shallow and rapid. As traders, we tend to hunch over our computers, compressing our lungs, and so not allowing the oxygen in to reach our brains. So now you're breathing rapidly. Your heart rate is through the roof. What kinds of decisions do you think you're going to make as a trader? I mean, without oxygen, we all stand the chance of going hypoxic. Our brains need oxygen to survive and thrive. Now, I have a few things that you can do, and these things that I continue to do personally when I become aware that I'm in a stressful situation. Traders, at one point in time, I found myself in such a state that I installed a free alarm clock on my computer, and I set it to go off every 20 minutes. It was something nice like temple bells or some such thing, but what this did is to establish the neuroassociations in my brain that every time I heard that alarm go off, I would instantaneously sit up straight, square my shoulders, and I would breathe deeply and slowly 2 or 3 times, restoring that much needed oxygen to my body. Now, for some of you, that may not be enough, so here's a little trick. It's a breathing technique that's actually used by the special forces around the globe to reduce your heart rate and bring everything back into a natural rhythm. It's simple. Just remember 4, 5, 6. You breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. Then you're going to hold your breath for a count of 5. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a full count of 6, evacuating the contents of your lungs. Now do that 3 straight times, and your heart rate and stress level will guaranteed be back in line, and your trading brain will be in a much better state to make those important trading decisions. This, again, is something I highly recommend you do. Just set the desktop alarm clock for whatever period of time you need to be reminded to breathe. And traders, all we're trying to do here is establish a conscious awareness of when we are in that flight or fight response, so you can take the steps necessary to deal with it. Now, traders, what I enthusiastically recommend is journaling. And journaling isn't just about writing down your trades, whether they were profitable or not. You should be writing down your emotional and physical states as well as your trades. And don't wait till the trade is over to write this information down. If you find yourself becoming anxious or fearful, write that down immediately. Write every physiological state down as well. Now, this may seem a little extreme, but again, I'm speaking from personal experience here. Over time, the more that you do these journaling things, the more you are establishing that kinesthetic leak. You're describing a psychological state while thinking about the same state. The next time that physiological state occurs, the more likely you're going to be to recognize it while it's happening to you. Remember, it's all about situational awareness. Remember to journal how many times a day you took to do these breathing exercises as well. And again, this brings us to something that I do every single day. After reviewing my journal and after my trading business is closed for the day, I'd recommend that you do it as well, and that's spending at least 15 minutes a day in quiet contemplation. Think about your trading state of mind just prior to those times when you felt anxious or fearful. Over a period of time of doing these steps, you will recognize before you start responding to these negative beliefs. You will find yourself being able to watch yourself go through the process of having these negative beliefs. You are thinking with your conscious mind, not the lizard brain, and so you will not be reacting blindly and trading on autopilot. Now, for those of you who suffer from a lot of negative self-speech, and that's that little voice inside our heads that always finds fault with everything we do. That little voice could be saying things like, you don't deserve this, you'll never amount to anything, I knew you would fail, you'll never be successful, money is the root of all evil, etc., 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 etc. Traders, I've been studying psychology for years now, including Jungian archetypal theory, NLP, NAC, and transactional analysis. The most effective way that I found to eliminate the power of the sound of that voice would be, let me give you an example. When I was young, my father would say to me in his very booming and authoritative voice, now granted, I was about 6 years old here, but he'd tell me, you'll never amount to anything. Now, even though that statement is cemented in my memory, and I'm really sure now that he didn't mean it, when I hear it inside my head, I just change the sound of his voice from what I remember his voice to be to something like Mickey Mouse. Now, just imagine yourselves with Mickey Mouse's squeaky little voice instead of that voice in your head that holds the power over you. Remember, the only one who gives these things power is ourselves, and you traders have the power within you to overcome it once you do become aware of it. So, what is the end result? You will end up as the eye of a hurricane. You'll be peaceful and serene as those trading winds swirl around you, and you'll have a clear and uncluttered mind to make those important trading decisions. I don't know about you, but I know for certain it was well worth the effort for me to get here. Now, traders, some of you have asked questions about myself and my own journey. I started trading in 1980 and managed money in the commodities markets from 1980 to 1988, at which point I left to pursue other interests. And now we're going to cliff note all the way up to about 5 years ago when an unexpected event changed my life forever. I was suddenly unable to work at the job that I loved, and being faced with not being able to provide an income for my family, I decided to go back into the day trading side of things. I searched and finally became aware of Todd and Jason, and I ended up taking their courses. And I thought that with all my background and success that I'd had in the 80s, that it would really be very simple. Well, the fact is, I fell flat on my face. My account balance went down by over 60%. Look, very much like that previous slide I showed you in the presentation. So, what I'm going to ask you, what changed? How did I become, how was I so successful in the 80s and yet so unsuccessful when I, entered the Forex markets? Well, if you said beliefs, you're pretty much right. What I had done is, a lot of things had changed since the 80s. I had a family, a mortgage, auto payments, all that stuff. And once I began to follow the steps that I've outlined here for you today, I became aware that I was more attached to not losing money. I would look at a trade and I say, "Oh my goodness, that's the car payment or that's the mortgage," and I would not let the trade play out. Well, fortunately, Jason, Todd, and Scott here in the live room, and truly everyone at Trade Empowered has helped me immeasurably. I'm now a successful trader, consistently profitable, and I really have the honor of being Scott's co-pilot in the FX Systems room. It's really a joy for me to be able to help traders, overcome their own psychology, put a rules-based trading system in place with them, and help them on their journey to consistent profitability. So traders, if you have any questions at all, feel free to contact me. Or if you're a new trader, let's consider doing a trader assessment for you. This is one of the first steps that I took, and it highlighted so many things in my trading that I was unaware of at the time and was really instrumental in getting me on the right path. So traders, with that, I'm going to say thank you. This video ran a little longer than I anticipated, but I wish you good luck, good trading, and always, always, always be aware. Have a great day.